and see if there's something you can do about it?
Yeah, I mean, why not? We need to we're always trying to improve. Everyone can improve. I'm all about. Here's
you do
my
understand.
opinion.
Let me just one thing, and then you can answer. You do understand how the lack of accountability actually harms the police themselves. It makes it harder for them to do their job by creating hostility and distrust between the people that they're working with.
Yeah.
So it's even to your guys' benefit to have accountability and not to protect those bad apples.
Well, I wouldn't go as out on a limb to say protect per se, but you can easily say everything throughout the whole United States. You take the issue in Ferguson, that makes us look bad out here too. So every incident, like we're held accountable, every bad or negative thing that occurs is going to reflect bad against the police. And yes, we need to try to fix those issues, and try to get the confidence. I would love to have the confidence from you guys to think, that we're there in the best interest of the people. And I feel like the conversation we have, I hope that you have a better understanding where we come from, like as far as the homeless issue, trying to make that. But it is a complex issue. It's not something you can do overnight, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error before we get it right. But I think, by having these committees, by having the people come and talk to us to tell us, hey, we see it this way, you see it from a different way, how can we meet in the middle? You know what I mean? I think that's what it comes down to is, for the longest time, back, it wasn't a thing like, hey, you go to the cops to talk about the issues. It's like the cops kind of did their thing, it wasn't more, hey, how can we help the community? We really are partners with the community, and it says it on our vehicles. That's how I feel we really are. Like, I sit down here, I listen to you guys' concerns, I try to answer as best as I can for you guys as far as not getting too personal from my opinions, on the department side, try to tell you guys where we're coming from.
Part of the thing is why we came is because the officers are here, and we do want some of your personal input because there is people behind that badge. You're a person behind that badge. So I'm going to ask you this question. Now that they're talking about having cameras, the cops should be wearing cameras to record all interactions as well as we have the right to record, as citizens. How do you feel about that? I mean, aside from...
I think it's going to be a positive thing for both parties, for the police department and for the public. One, I think it'll make better officers out of us, because then you're more held accountable of your actions. I think it'll really make officers think about instead of just like you said, we're human. A lot of times when we react, it's emotions. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, why did I do that? But I think this would be a way to kind of help with that because there is accountability. Okay, hey,
Do you think that we all hear about that thin blue line. So do you think the cameras will help officers who may be hesitant to report an incident against a fellow officer? You think this will make this easier since it's already recorded? And now the person doesn't have to come out and put themselves in jeopardy?
I think it's all positive. I think having the cameras will be positive for the public because they can actually see what happened. It's positive for the officers because, they can, it's not like, well, that's not what happened. It's like, well, here, this is what happened. And yes, it makes it easier for the fellow officers. We don't necessarily have to go on their word because we have evidence. I think as a whole, and I think that's why the department is pushing it, is that it's going to be a positive for everyone.
It's voluntary now? Whether you...
Yeah. Well, for the new hires it's mandated.
It's voluntary.
I don't wear one because a lot of times I'm behind a computer desk doing emails, doing meetings and stuff like that, or just kind of interacting like a community event like this. I don't have one, and we're out of them. I asked for one, but they didn't have any. So, because I'm not opposed to them.
So the city provides the cameras.
No,
they don't
the
come
department.
Out, or the department,
provides it, yeah.
And then they'll come out. And you don't have to provide your own.
Sorry. good to see you. Good to see you. I gotta get back over there.
All the time.
Oh yeah. Depends on where taking it.
No, I'm glad you came.
What part of New York are you?
I'm sorry?
Are you from New York?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. My dad's from Brooklyn. I recognize the accent.
Oh, she's a band very familiar with.
Avenue Z.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Bay Ridge. So,
Alright.
but it's a small enough city that everybody kind of
He's the king of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Brooklyn. I don't know, my dad would have
A lot of kings of Brooklyn.
From New York too?
I'm from Vegas.
Oh, you're born in Vegas. Oh. See, I'm not from Vegas. I'm from Oklahoma, so I'm a little
How long you been here?
8 years.
Oh,
So I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, best friends from Oklahoma.
it's seen.
It's different. I tell you, when I came out here, it's different. Way different than back home.
Were you a police officer in Oklahoma?
No.
Okay, so
He was a cowboy.
Yeah.
Cowboy.
Yeah.
So for those who, so do you feel for those who wear the cameras, or especially those on the streets, that they should be on at all times, or do you think the option to shut them off
We have a
is?
camera policy. They're on. They're always on.
Oh,
And then, and we have certain, when we encounter people, there's certain policies they will let you know that cameras are recording and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think it's really gonna, a lot of the issues that, you kind of brought up, I think it will resolve a lot of those issues and make it more accountable for those bad apples.
So even beyond that, we do have an issue with the citizen filming, since citizens don't actually have access to these cameras. I mean, like
this?
Like this, yeah.
I don't have a problem with people filming. The only time there's an issue with people filming is when we're trying to do our job and people get too close because we don't know if that's a threat or if they're actually just trying to film. That's where the issue comes when people are filming. I don't have a problem being filmed or anything like that. But I just don't want people.
Like our cell phones and other stuff.
But like when I'm trying to take someone into custody or I'm trying to deal with an issue and then I have someone, that becomes an issue because I don't know what their intentions are. Especially nowadays, I don't know what any
well, I mean, they watch both ways. I mean, so because of recent incidents between civilians and police officers, you understand why a civilian might want to record the arrest or the incident while it's happening.
And if there's a crowd of people standing there and one person has a camera, their intention isn't any different than the rest of the crowd standing there. But they are.
yeah. Well, mainly being asked.
But at the same time, we push
mainly the
everyone
question.
back in a crowd situation. It's not just a person with the camera. Now, some officers are not opposed that they don't like to be filmed because they don't want their face out there. But I look at it as a safety issue. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're trying to do your job and you got someone over your shoulder trying to put a camera in your face and you can't do your job.
Right, as long as you're not interfering within, a couple of feet while filming the incident, filming the police.
from behind.
I mean,
We're
and
on video
it's
all
our
the time. I mean, you can't go down the street without being on camera.
Yeah.
right, which is one of
Yeah, it's an
my-
issue of access.
Yeah,
And I believe
The cameras on these stoplights, the cameras, you guys don't have them, but, even the camera, once you guys have the cameras on your uniforms, we won't have access to them.
after investigation, I believe.
Like DeAndre Berghart was murdered out by Red Rock just about a year ago now. About a year ago today. It was early February. The Highway Patrol does have dash cams.
That's a different
that film has
agency. I
never come out.
can't speak for a different
Right,
agency.
I'm saying it's a matter of access. It's a matter of.
Well, I think it's all new. Over time, I think that would change. I mean, if you look at some of these a lot of the videos, like the Police One videos, it has video cameras and stuff. They eventually come out. I think it's just a matter of changing
They
policies.
tend to
and
come out
features.
within days if they support the police story, and then they'll come out years later if they don't.
You're
And that's the reason that it's important that citizens have the right to
Well, I think it's coming. I think it's coming.
So do you,
Cop watch.
so do you feel that it's
Cop watch
mainly-
organization.
yeah. Again, this is kind of the stuff we do. You can have that. We have We
So-
heading down for Citizen.
Do you feel the issue? Do you feel that these bad apples all around are making your job harder, or do you think it's the people that are reporting it, covering it, like the protests and everything, the attention being brought to
Hard
it?
regardless.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. So you don't think it's harder?
If you took out, like I said, if it was a perfect world, we didn't have any issues, you know, maybe officer, I mean, if no officer made a mistake, our job would still be tough. Okay?
So,
So-
yeah. So we should probably not make it tougher. And since we don't live in this perfect world, when somebody clearly shows, you know, that they've done something questionable, we probably should address that.
All I can say is this: we do have policies, we do have investigators to follow up with those issues.
But there's also
how they handle that issue.
an actual history of accountability with Metro. There's a history of no accountability whatsoever. There's an actual history that every single shooting ever in the history of Las Vegas, not just Metro, not Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, but the Las Vegas area, every police department within the Las Vegas area, not one single time, not ever It doesn't matter if that person they shot is unarmed. It doesn't matter if that person is completely innocent and unarmed. It doesn't matter the circumstances behind that. It's never in history.
Well, then I had to just fall back to the training that we get, that the officers are
Well,
doing everything
that's
they
interesting
can to do the right thing.
because when the driver that was having a diabetic episode was beaten by Henderson police, the DA said he was not allowed to prosecute those Henderson police because they were trained to kick people in the head. So there might be some issues with that training, and there might be people like yourself who, you know, you say you're a good cop and you know, if you see an issue, maybe that's something that you should work towards getting it changed.
And
Just
now,
like
now
the-
that if you
the guy
weren't
that
aware
was-
of it, now that you've been made aware of it, now
Like
I
the
think
guy
I
that was
said,
there's a lot to
beaten-
that's a
think about.
different, that's a
The,
different
well,
agency.
well,
and
we can talk about your agency because there was a man that was beaten, I believe it was last summer downtown, because he did not walk fast enough in a crowded bar.
That was kind of a big incident.
That was glossed over until a suit was brought, and then a lot of attention was brought to the media, and it was reinvestigated. Metro's internal affairs came back and said that this is all within Metro policy.
Okay.
But so they could not do anything about it. So those sort of things where they're just saying, well, beating a guy is within our policy. Those are maybe training and policy that should be changed.
Yeah, and I believe they are training some of that training issue and training with that officer. So
So I guess it's use of force issues then, right? Is
Maybe
that what
maybe
they
that
call it?
officer who was so intent on beating that person that he fell down while doing it should not be a cop. Maybe he should be punished in some way instead of saying this is within our policy. Maybe, first of all, maybe that shouldn't be within your policies. But secondly, maybe you should eliminate people that do that sort of thing, so that there's some sort of perception that you guys do have some sort of interest in.
that's one opinion.
Now,
I mean,
I
like
mean,
I
you
said, I
understand?
think
Well,
are you working?
I'm working both. I'm working for the police department and Starbucks. That's how amazing I am. Are you gonna? Do you have a busy day? Are you gonna be able to go to some properties with me today?
hey, can we cover all the questions from the other people that asked us to come
I don't know actually.
provide? Because it wouldn't be fair.
I mean, I
Because they
guess
asked us,
Tasha-
except, you know.
If we have questions, throw them out.
I thought I covered pretty much the ones that I had and the ones I could think of from
I
others.
already did a couple that Tasha had asked.
Okay, so
She has to ask about Officer Gibson. I don't think he would know about
What?
Gibson. To ask about Officer Gibson, that's what Tasha asked. But the one who shot Jim. But I don't think they would know anything about.
what are we gonna
I
ask?
haven't
I don't
used
know.
one.
Well, I mean, we could bring that up. That's actually interesting, and
We
it's
have a meeting at 1.
Not sure
it goes into accountability.
not sure what kind of questions to ask.
Okay, is it
Just
just
asking
the
what-
city or?
How they feel about him.
Okay.
Overpopulated prison. Yeah, I don't.
Camera while they're recording
Okay,
us.
it's a private,
Oh, no, no.
private establishment.
Oh, no.
They don't want you guys videoing.